Yes, we're about 40% exotic. By exotic, I mean someone who it would be difficult to disguise as a human walking down the street. We do have anthropomorphic people who resemble animal species but are bipedal and walk upright.
So does that mean this thing that I've been hearing about there being a cat people and a dog's feet? Well, I guess they should be referred to as a feline people.
The feline and canine and lupine, yes.
So did they evolve from the species on Earth? Or?
No, Earth is not the cradle of life. It is the cradle of our life. It is not the cradle of life. It's similar, okay, how I understand it is they are to dogs and cats and the animals on Earth the same way we are to monkeys.
Okay.
And they are the non-sapient expression of that common ancestry. That's what living on our Earth with us. And out in space and in other realms, you find the sapient expression of that common ancestor. And some of the other species that we have are many of your classic mythical creatures: Kirin, unicorns, kappa, critters from all kinds, even things that don't have English translations, centaurs.
What is that? Explain to the people what that is.
Yes. Centaurs are people who appear to be horse-like from the waist down and human-like from the waist up. Often they have pointed ears. Yeah, that's what a demigod is. Somebody who is a half-person. We also have low angels. We work with high angels, and I will explain the difference between high angels and low angels. High angels are the great angels, the ones you hear about in the Bible, Michael, Ezekiel, all of those. They don't typically take a form that is human-like. Instead, they are giant balls of love and fire. Yeah, they're huge. They're huge, and their presence is absolutely immense, and it's awe-inspiring. And if you are light-oriented, you find it a very, very comforting presence. But if you are dark-oriented, you want to run and hide. Those are high angels, and we know of them. They know of us. When they come visit us, we respect them greatly because you can't help but respect them. They're beings worthy of respect. And we have low angels, and low angels are what people typically think of when they think of angels, people running around with wings. And they're not as highly evolved as the high angels, but they're still celestially oriented. And however, because they are not highly evolved as the high angels, they're capable of a miss. You know, there are low angels for every species. Angel of a dragon. You can have a low angel of an elf. You can have a low angel of humans. You can have low angels of the people who look like cats. You know, there are low angels for every species out there. We do have demons. And I will please be quick to point out that they are reformed. These are beings that have made the switch between service to themselves to service to others. And those who have joined us, we are 100% sure are with us. They are not going to pull a fast one on us. We also have beings that appear to be formed of the shadows.
Hold on a second. Let's get back to Michael and Gabriel. Now, how big you say they were?
But honestly, these are enormous beings. How you see is dictated by your own perceptions and your own belief systems. So if you're expecting winged humans with a bunch of like 50 wings or whatever, that's what you're going to see. If you're expecting something that's closer to their actual incarnation, you're probably going to see a ball of fire. It'll be huge and powerful and unmistakable. You won't be able to mistake that presence for anything but angelic.
Wow. What are some of the other species that you've encountered?
I've covered the mythicals, I've covered the angelics, and I've covered the demonics and the shadows. There's also creatures of pure energy that they're energy. There's no other way to describe it. They choose to take certain shapes. We're all energy, but these are, you know, strongly elemental aspected, for instance, and maybe don't have a home form. They might appear to you as a ball of energy,
right?
A ball of electricity, or a ball of fire, or a ball of, of whatever. We also have mineral-based life forms. So most of us are, or have come from 3D organic stock, where we eat food made of organic matter and have biological processes involving blood and bones and organs, or at least we did when we were physical, because many of us are creatures that have come originally from 3D universes and then ascended or moved to the spirit world through other events. Yeah, and anybody who's ever done work with stones and crystals understands that crystal and stone has a soul of its own. It's not like ours, but it is a soul. So I actually have one stone that, I'll put this in air quotes, belonged to a friend of mine, and every time I came by, it would fling itself off of whatever ledge it was on towards me. So finally he said, okay, it wants to be with you, and he gave me the stone. And sometimes I've had stones in my collection which, you know, I've met somebody and it occurs to me that stone is to go with that person, and then I'll hand it over and say, here, this is yours. You know, if I'm at a rock store walking around, I'll close my eyes and wander on, and whichever one calls to me is whatever I get, right? And some of our people are elementally inclined, and some of them are mineral life forms.
Like
and
people?
Some of those mineral life forms, yes, still have familiar shapes. There are mineral humans, there are mineral dragons, there are mineral elves, there are mineral whatever, you know. It's another expression of life. Some people are plants as well. The universe isn't all meat.
Okay, all right. Now, we didn't get flower people. I've heard it all. Okay.
Hi, Vince.
Hi. My mind is still blown. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around.
I imagine you're not the only one, and I want people to understand. I'm not making this up. I'm not lying. Other people who have had these experiences know exactly what I'm talking about. This is real. The wonderful thing about the universe is that it's big enough that any given person can take or leave things like this and not have to interact with any of it. But if you are going to interact with this kind of world, it's a good idea to know what to expect. You know, some people think that there are certain gray aliens that are plant-based, so don't be too dismissive of it.
Okay. Now, what's the difference between planes and dimensions?
Well, dimensions are analogous to our physical space, just other levels up. For instance, they have planets, they have suns, they have spaces like that. They are in their own way. They have a presence of themselves that can be compared to the physical, but isn't experienced as we experience the physical here. The spirit realms, on the other hand, are the flip side of that. They are discrete or infinite within themselves, but they exist on the various levels corresponding to the dimensions. Within a realm, within the spirit realm, there are many, many infinite realms, parallel universes, and possibilities. Some of these express as planets, some of them just express as entire realms. For instance, the realm of the Fae is a small infinite realm in itself. You go walking in there, you're not going to find space, you're not going to find a sun, you're going to find something that looks like a sun that shows up when it wants to. Right. You're going to find, things changing around you. The land is infinite, and each of these realms will have its own. Within the dimensions, there is physics as we understand it. Physics that we don't yet have the full understanding of, but it's still governed by physics, which we can express with math. In the realms, not so much. In the realms, you have all bets are off. It depends on the individual realm. There are dimensions lower than us. This is the third D. There is the second D, and on the second D you will find non-sapient multicellular creatures. There's the zero dimension when you have the conditions that are not yet present for life. And here on Earth we've been through all of that. There's all this argument between evolution and divine creation, and what gets conveniently left out of the discussion is the fact that it's both.
Right. And let me ask you this question: what is procreation like? What is procreation sex like within the Silver Legion? How do they interact with each other? Now you get into what my audience likes.
Yes. First of all, there is sex in the Silver Legion. There is relationships. There is love. personal love between individuals within the Silver Legion, because we do come from a variety of species and origins. Some species have taboos about interspecies relationships, and those are respected. You know, if you come from a species where there is such a taboo, nobody's going to pressure you into a relationship with somebody outside of your species, for instance. But most of us don't come from that kind of taboo, that kind of cultural taboo. And things are pretty open. For instance, one of our other founders and commanders, Itachi, is married to one of my great nieces, and we're different species.
Wow.
And this causes no problems at all. They love each other very much. It's cute to watch them. Yes, sex does happen. Love does happen. Sex between individuals sometimes involves logistics, depending on the species.
Now, can they incarnate bodies or form bodies to have? Because I'm thinking it's more so, is it more mental sex, or do they take on some form of a body in order to interact with each other? 'Cause I'm thinking if you're an etheric body, and I guess, how do you do it?
Okay, this is going to take a little bit of background explanation. First of all, our spirit bodies are actually bodies. They are experienced as real when you're fully within the spirit realm. You experience yourself as real, if not more real, than you currently experience your body here on Earth. So it's not a matter of we're all just amorphous blobs of energy, although if we really want to, we can be. We have forms, we have bodies. Some of us are more able to manipulate the shape of those than others. My species is particularly adept at that kind of thing. So that's, it's not a matter of, there is, I hate to say it, physicality, but there is experience of environment and each other and yourself. And I'll also note, and this might bother some people, not all of the Silver Legion is monogamous. I personally have no problem with being in a monogamous relationship myself, and I am in one currently physically here in the physical world. The morals are different. It doesn't mean that they're immoral. It's just that a lot of the things that we take for granted as moral behavior isn't necessarily. Yeah, and a lot of it was for my material or financial reasons. I have a non-physical friend who was alive in Europe in the 1720s early 1700s, and when I told him about some of the things that were going on here on Earth concerning the sanctity of marriage, he laughed and said, "Marriage is a financial transaction."
Yes.
Yes, there is procreation.
Okay. Now
it's not so much a matter of pregnancy and carrying, so much as it is a matter of deciding. Okay, yes, we, consciously deciding, two parties sitting down and saying, yes, we wish to bring another being into existence.
If you're a 3D human and all you ever known is how it happens here on Earth, it's kind of hard to fathom.
Yes, actually, if I was to have children in this life, the souls that would get dibs are related to me.
So what happens when you have let's say, a disincarnated human and a different species? What do they procreate? What comes out of that?
Yes, something special. In some cases, something very, very special.